Throwaway because my sister knows my main account. I've been a lurker for ages, but I really need some outside perspective on this whole situation because I honestly don't know if I'm being unreasonable anymore. I, female, 37, am a single mom to my son Ethan, male, 14. I've been raising him completely alone since his dad Jake decided fatherhood wasn't for him and disappeared when I was 5 months pregnant. No note, just gone one day. For the past 14 years, I've been working my ass off trying to keep us afloat. I work as an administrative assistant at the local hospital during the day, then waitress at this family restaurant 4 nights a week. I'm basically always exhausted, but what choice do I have? Bills don't pay themselves, and Ethan deserves a decent life. So my younger sister Diana, female, 34, has always been the golden child in our family. She was always getting into trouble growing up, but somehow my parents would just bail her out and make excuses for her. Meanwhile, I was expected to be the responsible one and never mess up. About 9 years ago, Diana married Cameron, who's this super successful real estate developer. They live in this gorgeous house in the nice part of town, drive matching luxury SUVs, the whole deal. They have 2 kids, Emma, female, 8, and Noah, male, 6, who are actually really sweet kids that I love to death. Here's where the problem starts. After Emma was born, Diana started asking me to just watch her for a few hours while she ran errands. I was happy to help out because that's what family does, right? But those few hours kept getting longer and longer. Then after Noah was born, it somehow turned into me watching both kids for like 20 plus hours every week, for free. And it's not like I can just say no because Diana is the queen of guilt trips. She says things like, family helps family, or my personal favorite, it's not like you have much else going on anyway. Excuse me. Just because I'm not posting Instagram pics from Paris doesn't mean my life isn't busy and important. I literally had to reschedule Ethan's parent-teacher conferences twice last year because Diana had emergency hair appointments. I wish I was making this up. The thing that really gets to me is seeing Diana's constant social media posts of her designer clothes and fancy restaurants and these amazing European vacations they take twice a year. Meanwhile, I've had to tell Ethan we couldn't afford the $75 for his science field trip last month. It hurt me so much to do that. I'm still using this ancient laptop that Jake left behind because I can't afford a new one, and Diana always makes these comments about how vintage it is. Like, thanks for the reminder that I'm poor. I'm not materialistic, I swear. I don't need fancy things to be happy, but it just feels so unfair that Diana gets to live this amazing life, partly because I'm providing all this free childcare while I can barely make ends meet. About 8 months ago, I met Jason, male 40, who's this contractor working on renovating the wing where my office is at the hospital. He's seriously the first guy I've dated since Jake, because who has the time? But Jason is different. He's kind and respectful and actually listens when I talk. At first, I thought he wasn't interested in meeting Ethan, which made me hesitant about getting serious. But he finally explained he was just trying to respect my boundaries and didn't want to rush into Ethan's life until we were sure about our relationship. I basically cried when he said that because who does that? So now that things are getting more serious with Jason, I've started cutting back on the times I can watch Diana's kids. And oh my freaking God, you would think I told her I was moving to Mars or something. The last straw happened this week. I texted Diana on Tuesday that I couldn't babysit Friday night because I have a date with Jason. She called me right away and got upset, saying I was canceling last minute on Tuesday. When I said I was giving plenty of notice and deserved to have a personal life too, she claimed I was suddenly caring about money now that I had a boyfriend. She ended up hanging up on me. She texted me later saying I was choosing a man over family, which made me feel like absolute garbage, even though I know that's not what's happening. But the worst part, at Sunday dinner at my parents' house last weekend, Diana spilled an entire glass of red wine on Jason's expensive shirt right after he mentioned taking me away for a weekend next month. It was so obviously on purpose, but she did this dramatic, I'm so clumsy routine that my parents totally bought. I'm honestly at my breaking point. I love my niece and nephew, but I don't think it's fair that I'm expected to be an unpaid nanny while putting my own life on hold. And I recently found out that Cameron thinks they have a professional nanny. Diana has been lying to her husband about their childcare arrangements this whole time. Am I being unreasonable here? Is it wrong to want to prioritize my relationship and my own happiness for once? I feel like I'm going crazy. Edit. Holy crap. I didn't expect this to blow up overnight. I can't respond to everyone, but I'll try to answer the most common questions. 1. No. I've never directly asked Diana for payment before. I guess I always felt weird about asking for money to watch my own niece and nephew, but you're all right that my time has value. 2. Several people asked if Cameron knows about all the babysitting I do. I'm pretty sure he doesn't know the full extent. I overheard him thanking Diana for finding such a reliable nanny a few months ago, and Diana just smiled and changed the subject. I was standing right there. 3. To those asking why my parents don't help with the kids instead, they do sometimes, but they're too tired to do it regularly, according to Diana. Yet somehow, I'm expected to do it after working 12-plus-hour days. 4. For those asking about child support, Jake completely disappeared. No one knows where he is. I tried to track him down for child support years ago, but he basically vanished. I haven't had the money or energy to hire a private investigator or anything. 5. Someone asked about Ethan's relationship with his cousins. He actually really loves them and is great with them. He's like a big brother figure, especially to Noah. That's part of what makes this so hard. Now for the first update. So a lot has happened since my last post. Thanks for all the advice and support. Reading your comments honestly helped me realize I'm not actually crazy for feeling exploited all these years. First off, Jason proposed. We've been dating for just under a year, and honestly, I wasn't expecting it at all. The ring isn't huge or flashy, but it's absolutely perfect and exactly what I would have picked. But the best part, Jason actually asked Ethan for permission first. I literally cried when Ethan told me that part after the proposal. And get this, my amazing son helped Jason plan the whole thing at the community park where Jason and I first met. Ethan had me completely fooled when he said he needed to meet me there after school to talk about some serious problem he was having. I rushed over in a panic, as any mom would, and there was Jason waiting with flowers. I was so confused for a second, I actually thought something was wrong with Jason too, lol. Anyway, I decided to take the advice many of you gave me and finally put my foot down with Diana about the childcare situation. I explained that I needed to focus on planning our small wedding and my own family for once. I told her I'd still be available for true emergencies, but couldn't be her regular childcare anymore. And oh my freaking god, she has gone crazy. At first, it was these fake emergencies. Like multiple times she's called me sobbing that Noah had a temperature of 103 and Cameron was out of town and she had this critical work meeting she couldn't miss. I'd rush over because I do love those kids and would never want them sick without care, only to find Noah perfectly fine, playing video games. The fever would mysteriously break right before I arrived, every single time. Then she started telling our parents that Jason was controlling me and isolating me from family, which is literally the opposite of what's happening. Jason is the one who keeps encouraging me to spend more time with my family, just not being taken advantage of. He even offered to help my parents fix their deck last month. Last week, Diana actually showed up at my house at 7 a.m. on a Saturday while Jason was there, banging on the door demanding I watch the kids because she forgot about a hair appointment. When I said no, she got mad and said, "But you're not doing anything important." I was making breakfast with my fiance and son on our one morning together that week. My mom called me the other day asking if everything was okay with Jason and if he was pressuring me about anything. At first, I thought she was taking Diana's side again, but I think she was genuinely concerned because of whatever lies Diana has been telling her. I had to explain that the only person pressuring me is Diana. But here's where it gets really bad. One of Jason's clients, who I've become friends with, pulled me aside at our engagement party and awkwardly asked if I was sure about marrying Jason. When I asked what she meant, she showed me texts from Diana suggesting Jason has a history of dating single moms for money, which is insane considering I'm the one who's broke and Jason is actually doing really well with his contracting business. Like, what would he possibly gain financially from me? I'm still paying off Ethan's emergency appendectomy from 3 years ago. Oh, and speaking of my financial situation, Diana borrowed my laptop last month to check her email while she was at my house, and somehow accidentally deleted all the photos of Jason and me together from my hard drive. Good thing I had most of them backed up to the cloud, even though my internet is so slow it took forever to restore them. The absolute worst was our engagement party last weekend. Diana showed up 45 minutes late, wearing what was basically a white dress. A cocktail dress, but come on, we all know what she was doing. She immediately started downing champagne like it was water. I think she had like 4 glasses in the first hour. I went over to check if she was okay, because she was getting loud and emotional. She shouted, "How could you do this to me?" in front of everyone. I was completely confused and asked what she meant. She claimed that I stole Jason from her, saying she introduced us years ago. Jason came over looking completely baffled because they'd never met before the hospital renovation. Ethan quietly told me, "Mom, she's lying. She never met Jason before." When confronted, Diana started crying these dramatic fake tears. My dad tried to lead her away, and she accidentally knocked over the entire gift table. Several gifts got damaged, including this family frame from Jason's grandmother. I was mortified. Jason was so understanding afterward, but I could tell he was upset about his grandmother's frame. Then things got even worse. I found out 3 crazy things this past week. First, I was helping Emma find a jacket she left at my house and accidentally saw some financial documents in Diana's purse. Cameron gives Diana $2,000 every month, specifically labeled nanny services. $2,000 a month that she's been pocketing while I watched their kids for free all these years. Second, Ethan told me that Diana took him aside at the engagement party and told him that Jason would abandon us just like your father did. Ethan was upset, but he knew she was lying. Third, my friend Jessica sent me screenshots of Diana's private Instagram posts where she's been mocking my financial struggles while bragging about using me for childcare. One post actually said, "Why pay for childcare when you have a desperate sister who'll do anything for family? Blessed financial genius," with a laughing emoji. That post was from 3 years ago. Oh, and the worst part. Remember that girls' trip she took last year when I watched the kids for an entire week? Jessica found pictures of Diana at some couple's resort in Mexico with her personal trainer. Yeah, she wasn't with her girlfriends. She was having an affair while I watched her kids for free so she could cheat on Cameron. I finally sent Diana a text setting firm boundaries. I said I would no longer provide any childcare without advance notice and compensation for my time. Her response was shocking. She threatened that if I didn't continue the free childcare, she would tell Cameron that I had made inappropriate advances toward him years ago. This is completely fabricated. I've barely had one-on-one conversations with Cameron in years because Diana always interrupts us. I've always avoided conflict at all costs, which is why I'm now gathering extensive evidence against my sister. I've been taking screenshots of all our text exchanges about childcare for the past 7 years. Thank God I never delete texts. I have photos of me with the kids during times Diana posted her mommy time updates on social media. I even have my work schedules showing I was juggling 2 jobs while providing all this childcare. I honestly don't know what to do. Part of me wants to go directly to Cameron with all of this before Diana can spread her lies. But I'm worried about blowing up their marriage completely and how it would affect my relationship with Emma and Noah. Those kids mean the world to me, and I'd be devastated to lose them. Am I being a coward by not confronting this head on? Should I tell Cameron everything? How do I protect myself from Diana's false accusations without destroying their family? Edit. Thank you all for the overwhelming support. To answer some common questions. 1. Yes, I've saved screenshots of everything now, all texts between us for years, her social media posts, etc., and I've backed them up in multiple places. 2. Some people asked if Diana has always been this manipulative. Yes and no. She's always been self-centered and entitled, but the level of calculated deception has gotten way worse since I started dating Jason. 3. A lot of you asked about Cameron. He's actually a decent guy from what I can tell, just completely clueless about what Diana is really like. He works crazy hours, and I think Diana deliberately keeps him in the dark about a lot of things. 4. To those suggesting I just cut contact completely, it's complicated because of the kids. Emma and Noah have done nothing wrong, and they're used to having me in their lives. I'm basically a second mother to them at this point. 5. Several people asked if I have any allies in this situation. Jason is 100% supportive, obviously, and Ethan sees right through Diana's manipulation. My parents are complicated. They've enabled Diana's behavior for so long that I'm not sure they're capable of seeing her clearly. 6. For For those asking about my wedding plans, we're thinking small ceremony in the spring. Nothing fancy, just close friends and family, if any family is still speaking to me after all this. Now for the second update. My sister found out I told her husband about her using me as a free nanny and stealing his money. Now my family is imploding. So a lot has happened since my last post about Diana sabotaging my engagement. Like a lot. So after a few days of going back and forth about what to do, and literally making myself sick with anxiety, I decided to meet with Cameron privately. I just couldn't risk Diana making those false accusations about me to him first. Several of you suggested this approach in the comments, and you were absolutely right that I needed to protect myself. I texted Cameron asking if we could meet for coffee to discuss something important about the kids. I was so nervous sending that text. I literally typed and deleted it like 8 times before hitting send. He seemed confused, but agreed to meet at this coffee shop near his office during his lunch break. I was so anxious about this meeting that I changed outfits 4 times that morning, which is ridiculous because I own like 5 decent outfits total. I ended up arriving almost 45 minutes early and just sat there stress-eating 2 entire blueberry muffins while rehearsing what to say in my head over and over. The barista probably thought I was having some kind of breakdown the way I was muttering to myself. When Cameron finally walked in, I almost chickened out completely. I want to be super clear. I had zero intention of telling him about Diana's affair or anything else. I just wanted to protect myself from her false accusations. That's it. But then Cameron sat down and immediately said that Diana mentioned I might try to talk to him. My stomach dropped. I asked what she told him exactly. He said something about me being jealous of their lifestyle and possibly making up stories because of it. I couldn't believe she had already started poisoning the well, but I should have known she would. She's always been 3 steps ahead when it comes to manipulation. I remember taking a deep breath and saying I needed to show him something, and I wasn't doing this to hurt anyone. I was doing it to protect myself. And then I showed him my phone with 7 years of text messages from Diana about childcare, hundreds and hundreds of texts, times when she claimed emergencies that were actually spa appointments, screenshots of her social media posts showing her at restaurants or shopping while I was watching the kids, my work schedules proving I was juggling 2 jobs while providing all this free childcare. Cameron looked confused. He didn't understand because they supposedly had a nanny. I told him that no, they didn't have a nanny. They had me. I'd been watching his kids for years, for free. He stared at me for what felt like forever and then told me he gives Diana $2,000 every month specifically for childcare. And that's when everything clicked. When he realized what was happening, he accidentally knocked over his coffee cup, and I remember immediately grabbing napkins and cleaning it up while apologizing to him. Jason later pointed out this was such a perfect example of how I've been trained to clean up Diana's messes my whole life. Cameron just sat there in shock for a minute, and then he did something I wasn't expecting at all. He called Diana right there and asked her to come to the coffee shop, saying it was urgent about the kids. She showed up about 20 minutes later, looking super annoyed, like we were wasting her time. She barely even acknowledged me at first. Cameron was incredibly calm. He asked her who watches the kids when she goes out, and Diana, without even hesitating, said the nanny does, like he should already know that. Then Cameron showed her some of the evidence I'd shown him, pictures of me with the kids during times she'd posted mommy time updates on social media. She went completely pale. She started scrambling, saying I had volunteered to help as family and that I was twisting things. But Cameron just kept scrolling through the evidence, years and years of texts and photos. Diana switched tactics and accused me of betraying her, but I just sat there silently. The evidence spoke for itself. Cameron then asked her about the $2,000 he gave her every month for childcare services and where that money went. She started crying and saying she was being attacked. Cameron told her he was calling his lawyer when he got back to the office. Then Diana gave me the most hateful look I've ever seen and stormed out. I sat there with Cameron for another 30 minutes or so while he asked me questions about how long this had been going on. He looked devastated. I actually felt terrible for him despite everything. The next few days were honestly a blur. Cameron texted me the next day, apologizing and thanking me for all I'd done for Emma and Noah over the years. He said he was doing a complete financial investigation and had already discovered that Diana had misappropriated over $100,000 in childcare funds alone. And that wasn't even counting the evidence he found of her affair with her personal trainer and all kinds of hidden luxury spending. Diana called me screaming 2 days later. Like I had to hold the phone away from my ear, she was so loud. She blamed me for ruining her marriage and said I would regret this for the rest of my life. Never once did she take responsibility for what she did. I never wanted revenge. I just wanted everyone to know exactly what Diana did to me. Wait, that sounds contradictory. I mean, I didn't set out for revenge. I just wanted the truth out there. I don't know how to explain it exactly. Things got even worse when I was visiting my parents last weekend. I was trying to explain everything to them. They were still confused about what exactly was happening when Diana showed up completely unannounced. She burst through the door and immediately started screaming that I had destroyed her life. I tried to stay calm and explain that her own actions caused this, but she wasn't listening. She actually lunged at me and tried to grab my phone, which had all the evidence on it. My dad had to physically step between us while my mom was crying and begging everyone to calm down. Diana started yelling that our parents had always favored me, which is literally the opposite of reality, and that everyone was ganging up on her. So I pulled out my phone and showed my parents the evidence of how Diana had been exploiting me for years. The texts, the social media posts, mocking my financial struggles, everything. Diana kept insisting it was all manipulated and taken out of context. My parents just sat there looking absolutely devastated as they realized the extent of Diana's deception. Then Diana demanded our parents choose between us right there on the spot. My dad refused and said they weren't choosing anyone, but that Diana needed to take responsibility for her actions. That's when Diana threatened to keep Emma and Noah from seeing any of us ever again. And something in me just snapped. I started listing everything I had sacrificed for her over the years. How I had missed Ethan's school events to watch her kids. How I'd worked myself to exhaustion holding down 2 jobs and being her free nanny. How she had mocked my financial struggles while stealing money that could have paid me fairly. And for maybe the first time ever, Diana broke down in actual tears. Not the fake dramatic ones she usually does, but real, ugly crying. It was honestly jarring to see. So here's where things stand now. Cameron filed for divorce and is seeking primary custody of the kids. He's offered me fair compensation to continue helping with Emma and Noah 2 days a week, which means I've been able to quit my waitressing job. That alone has been life-changing. I actually have evenings with my own family now. My parents came over last week and gave me this tearful apology for enabling Diana's behavior all these years and not seeing how much I was struggling. My mom actually said, "I don't know if you can ever forgive us," which made me start crying because despite everything, they're still my parents. Diana had to move out of her fancy house and into this modest apartment. She also had to get an actual job for the first time in years. Jason and I are moving forward with our wedding plans. Ethan is going to be Jason's best man, which makes me cry happy tears every time I think about it. I feel weirdly conflicted about everything. On one hand, I'm relieved to finally have boundaries and be valued for my time. On the other hand, I'm sad that my family had to basically implode for that to happen. Diana has started court-mandated therapy as part of the custody arrangement. Last week, she actually apologized to Ethan for trying to involve him in all this drama. It was a small gesture, but it's something. I'm trying to be hopeful that maybe someday we can rebuild some kind of relationship, but this time with actual healthy boundaries. Standing up for myself wasn't about getting revenge, it was about finally valuing myself enough to stop the exploitation. But I still feel guilty sometimes about how everything went down. The truth is, I still worry about Diana despite everything she's done. She's still my sister, and a part of me hopes she can find her way to genuine growth through all this. The consequences of her actions were inevitable, but that doesn't make them any less painful to watch. Edit. Thanks for all the supportive comments. To address some questions. 1. Several people asked if I'm in therapy. Yes, I finally started going. Jason found this sliding scale place that I can actually afford. It's already helping me understand why I let myself be a doormat for so long. 2. For those asking about Emma and Noah, they're doing okay considering everything. They still see Diana on weekends. I've tried really hard to never badmouth their mom in front of them, no matter what she's done. 3. To the person who asked if I feel guilty for breaking up a family, I struggle with this, but as many commenters pointed out, I didn't break up anything. Diana's actions did that. I'm trying to remind myself of this when the guilt creeps in. 4. Yes, I have fully backed up all evidence in multiple places now. Several of you warned about Diana potentially trying to delete stuff, and you were right to be concerned. For those asking about my parents, they're trying, I guess. They've started therapy too, to understand why they enabled Diana for so long. My mom brought over dinner twice last week, which hasn't happened since. Ever. 6. Wedding update for those who asked. We're doing a small ceremony in the spring at this pretty community garden near our house. Nothing fancy, but it'll be perfect for us.